Hello, you're welcome to the No Limit Show with FloRich. I am your girl, Blessing Kiobel, aka FloRich. On today's episode, we are going to be talking on an important topic, and people want to know how they can find out or how to know if they're in the right relationship. Well, I say as a human needs, we all want to be seen, we want to be heard, and we want to be loved. When those things are not in place, does that mean we're not in the right relationship? Well, we are going to find out from the relationship coach himself. Let's make welcome Benjamin as he introduced himself to us.
Hi, my name is Coach Benjamin. I'm a life and relationship coach, and I help people move from their insecure self to a more secure and grounded self. And I'm happy to be here with you.
Well, you're welcome today. I am glad to have you on set, and I am looking forward to all the nuggets you are going to release. Yeah. Okay, so let us jump right into it. Relationship is a broad topic, and
Definitely.
a lot of people are going through issues in their relationships, and some are looking for answers before they go into it so they don't make mistakes, and some of them are confused. And here it's a topic. They want to know how they can find out or how to know if they're in the right relationship. So what is your take on that? How would they know if they're in the right relationship?
That's a very broad topic, basically. But the thing, first of all, is to understand who you are. And after setting that aside, you have to know that the human need is to be seen, heard, and loved for who you are, which you've talked about. And if you're in a relationship and certain needs are not met, those basic needs, not being validated, your feelings are not validated, your opinions are not validated, you're not being seen, you're not being loved for who you are, but someone is trying to make you a version of who they want you to be, which goes against your basic needs, then you need to start questioning, is this really something I want to keep doing? Because in that moment, none of your needs are actually being met. You're just going and trying to be like them. So it's a very tricky and very hurtful place to be in.
Okay, so basically you are saying that so somebody comes into your life and they're trying to change who you are. Is that what you're basically saying? Trying to make you
Not really in that way per se,
Okay.
because sometimes we are not really a better version of ourselves.
Okay.
But you meet certain people and they want the best from you.
Right.
But the thing is, your needs need to first of all be met, which is
Okay.
you want to be loved for who you are, and someone needs to first of all accept that this is you.
Okay.
It's like getting a phone. When you're going to get a phone between Android and iPhone, you know what you're getting when you get an iPhone.
Okay.
You know what you're getting into when you're getting an Android phone. So you don't buy an iPhone and keep complaining about why is it not this, why is it not that, like an Android. You go there with acceptance that this is what they do, and you
Okay.
accept all that. Now, that is it. You first of all accept that this is who he is, right? Then any other thing, yes, people learn, they grow. But
Okay.
without that acceptance, you continually have fights whereby people would express themselves basically about their feelings and their fears. You would dismiss it. because you're not, like we say, you're not seeing what they're saying. You're not hearing them, and you're not loving them for who they are.
Okay.
So it brings a lot of conflict and all that. And when that keeps continuing, you know, you want to know, is
Okay.
this some place I want to be in? You can have every other thing, but if those basic needs are not met, it's just like eating, you know, then you start having issues.
So I guess how can you identify those things? How can you identify? You say something about someone being accepted. So what if the person has a certain character that doesn't sit well with me, however, has everything else that is okay with him or her? How can you accept that? I mean, when do you know when to tell yourself, you know what, this is what I can accept and this is what I can't accept?
That is why I first of all said that in life you have to know who you are.
Okay.
Because no one is perfect.
All right.
Right.
So okay, basically, okay, now that makes sense because really there are a lot of people who don't even know who they are or what they want. Would you agree with me on that?
True.
So, first of all, what should a person, I feel like you should first of all deal with you as a person.
Yes, definitely.
Try to work on you, try to ask yourself who you are and try to find out what are those things that you need, right? Before venturing into a relationship, right?
Yes.
Or what's your take on that?
Definitely. People would, it's often advised to first of all find purpose, you know, have a direction in life. It's like going to a bus stop and just taking any bus.
Right.
You don't have a direction. And anyone that talks to you in the bus, you fall in love with them. So imagine the bus moving from, let's say, Lagos to Abuja, for example.
Okay.
And you're in the bus, you don't even know where you're going to.
Right.
And you meet someone in the bus. The person is all nice, you know, and you're talking.
Right.
And on the way, it stops at, let's say, maybe Ekpe, and the journey is still long.
Right.
And the other one is going, you see, you'll be so confused. But if you know that, okay, I'm going to Abuja, but I'm not really going to Abuja, I'm going to the embassy in Abuja to go to, let's say, United States. And maybe say you're going to maybe a state, New York in the United States.
Okay.
Now you're on the bus going to Abuja.
Right.
Right? And you meet someone, you probably might meet 3 other people or 4 other people. And this one is saying, oh, I'm going to Abuja. One is saying, no, I'm going to Lokoja and all that. You know, you can talk with them, but you know that your destination doesn't match their destination.
Right, right.
So now, if you see someone that says, oh, yeah, I'm going to Abuja, I'm going to the embassy. Like, oh, are you serious? You see there's a connection now. Then you follow that person, you talk, and they say, oh, I'm going to United States. Oh, that's good. Where are you going to? You say, oh, well, I'm just going to see my family and I'm coming back. And probably you on your own, you're on the Jackpot route, let's say, for example. And so this one is still nice. So you talk with that person, maybe you get into the plane and you see some other person that has the same mindset with you, you know, and has the same goals with you, right? The same vision with you. Now it aligns. It's easy. It's not you forcing someone that has seen Abuja as their all in all to go to the United States with you.
Okay.
You know.
Okay.
And you see, when they align with you, it's very easy. But it has to first of all boils down to you. Knowing your vision, your direction, where are you going to?
Right, right.
If you don't know that, you'll be like the wind. Wherever blows, you follow.
Right.
Oh, it's fine. Oh, she's fine. You know, it just follows. And the circle keeps continuing and all that. So meaning you have to first of all find yourself, find purpose, have a vision of probably where you're going to.
Right.
Work with that. And every other things you start aligning themselves.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's wonderful. So would you say that's why a lot of marriages or relationships are failing because of these things?
Well, it's not really all that way. A lot of things are happening with marriages and relationships because you have both the childhood trauma aspect, you know, people don't really knowing who they really are in case of communication, and you know, having people whereby they don't know how to settle conflict with their spouse, and not accepting also, because usually there's the stages of relationship, and you have being able to accept your partner, like you were talking about. Oh, he or she has this, and this, but there's something about him or she I don't like. So should I accept that? Definitely, you have to count your course. Which of them is more beneficial for you? It's like having both core and peripherals.
Right.
You know, there are certain things that you know that it's okay for you, every other thing can just be let go, because you on your own, you're not
You're not
perfect.
perfect. That's
Yeah,
right.
you're not perfect, and sometimes we tend to project our imperfect, that ourself and our
Imperfections.
imperfections
Yeah.
to others. Basically, we do that without us knowing.
Right.
You know that there are
Right.
certain things in your life that is not good. So rather than work on yourself, you're looking onto someone, to fix those aspects instead of fixing them yourself and
Right.
accepting that you will make mistakes
Right.
and
Right.
accepting that your partner wouldn't do things the way you do it.
Right.
They
Right.
have a way of approaching certain things, and that is where respect comes in. And also knowing that, I can be right and you can be right. It
That's
doesn't
right.
matter how I get to Abuja,
Right.
through flight, through boat, whatever method I use, as long as I'm getting there to do what you ask me to, I must not follow your pattern.
Right.
But you see, that is the issue most times. People want it has to be my way
No way.
or not other way. And we often call that black and white thinking, when it's either black or white. But sometimes there are lots of shades of gray.
Right.
There are lots of compromise that needs to be made. But people want, because of our childhood also, it goes back to
Right.
childhood, because research have even showed that, a lot of our adult relationship and how we approach our adult relationship are influenced by our childhood and how we were raised, the things we've seen in our family.
Right.
So you grow up in a house whereby the dad is usually like the staunch lion of Africa.
Right.
You
Right.
subconsciously look for someone like that.
Right.
And the way they handle their conflicts is the way you will handle your conflict.
Right.
So if there are no win-win scenario, which is the healthy way to have conflict in relationship, is having that win-win scenario, whereby I heard what you're saying, you're right, and okay, just because you're right does not mean my own is wrong.
Right.
But you remember when I talked about being seen, heard, and loved for who we are? You want to be heard. And when I'm saying, okay, I hear you, and you're saying, okay, I hear you too, and we're able to meet and collectively focus on the issue, conflict can usually be avoided. But now, if you're not being in a relationship whereby the approach is not like that, then the conflict keeps coming up and you start getting drained. And then you now have to ask yourself, is this where I want to be? Because definitely you will meet people who would love you for who you are.
Right.
And yes, they know you're not perfect. They know you're not doing all that things that much. But they still appreciate and love your essence. They still love those certain things about you. Just like when I talked about the iPhone and the Android things. You don't love everything about the iPhone.
Right.
There are certain things you want that is in the Android phone.
Right.
But what else? I just rather stay with this one. You see people and they are being a staunch fan of the iPhone, and you see those on the other side being a staunch fan of the Android. Yes, it's both words. You cannot have both words. You just have to choose
What
which
is more important to
to
you? Makes
which
sense.
starts from who you are.
Who you as a
What
person.
do I want to do? Why am I getting into this? Is this person meeting my core values? Is his values aligned with me? Are we moving in the same direction? Is he accepting of me or is she accepting of me? Are my feelings valid? Are my feelings heard? Am I, and all that. And when those things are met, you now tend to understand that yes, this is a relationship for me. But if they are not met, it's either
Then you begin to ask yourself some
you ask
questions.
yourself, because
So I hear people say that, oh, when I met him or when I met her, she was very nice. He was very nice to me. And then all of a sudden, he changed, she changed. Why do you think people change?
the truth is people really don't change. The thing is, people often wear masks. Yeah, because people are often shy of their true self. Aside the fact that certain people are not comfortable with who they are, so they tend to wear masks to be out there, to talk and be honest. But you remember that when relationships starts, a lot of chemicals are flying.
You're right.
Yeah, so we have stages of relationship. We have the honeymoon stage, which is like the first stage. A lot of things, you want to talk with the person all the times. You want to, be with the person all the times. In those moments, a lot of emotions are flying, and it's always sweet. You know, whatever
Right.
they do, they are doing, you love it. If it's not good, if they even hit you, oh, I love that. You know, if they step on you, you love all that. But the relationship starts to progress because it moves from the honeymoon, then somewhere there you have the power struggle stage. You have the acceptance stage. It gets to a stage whereby everyone starts going to their true self, you know. And it's that place between there and the power struggle stage, that's where the issues start coming in. Because the only way to pass through that power struggle stage is to accept who this person is.
Yes, yes.
Because what you saw in the first time is not like that is not who they are. It's not like they changed, they're just wearing a mask, you know.
Right.
The emotions are flying.
So are you saying everyone goes through this stage?
Definitely.
Everybody, as soon as when you get into a relationship, we all go through the butterfly, flying in our tummy type of stage.
Yeah.
And then after a while. But why is it that way?
Because that is
why do you think?
It's a process. Life is a process. So there's the honeymoon stage, there's the acceptance stage, there's the power struggle stage, and some other stages before the bliss stage. Now, the honeymoon stage and the bliss stage. The bliss stage is the goal. Right? In the bliss stage is more like the honeymoon stage, but with acceptance and intentionality. So it's no longer your emotions that are leading you. Yes, emotions are there, but you've come to accept who this person is. And in this stage, you've accepted your partner. You still have conflicts, but you know you can sort it out without breaking up the relationship and all that. But this stage is usually, all relationships go through these stages. They have different names. But you have the honeymoon, you have the acceptance, you have the power struggle stage, and other stage than the bliss stage.
Wow. So during this honeymoon stage, before they bring out their mask or start showing their true color, how long? So do you say that people should date? How long do you think people should date for, to begin to before they can now say they're? Do you say the bliss stage?
The bliss stage.
Before they now say that, okay, I'm in the bliss stage, I can deal with this, I can deal with that.
It varies for people, truly. Because we have to look at different aspects. There are some archetypes when we talk about relationship of people. So we have a set of people we call the anxious preoccupied people. We have a set of people we call the dismissive avoidance. We have a set of people we call the fearful avoidance. So the anxious preoccupied people are basically, a lot of women fall into that. But it's not only women. It just means that you are the kind of emotional person, you want to...
Love at first sight.
Exactly. Those are the kind of people that you just talk to them, they're already thinking of dating you. They're thinking of the kids and all that.
Oh.
Yeah. They've not even talked to you, they just like you. And those anxious preoccupied, let's just leave the part that how it started and all that. People who are anxious preoccupied usually, with them, the honeymoon stage is, they want it in a longer phase. So for them, their honeymoon phase, they want it to be like a year or 2 years. Between 6 months, they just want to wallow in that, cocktail of love and all that. And you see
fantasy,
the opposite of the anxious preoccupied. We see the dismissive avoidance. Usually those kind of people, first of all, getting even into a relationship for them is another issue. Those are the kind of people that their talking stage can be between 6 months upwards or so, because they are scared of commitments, And with them, they approach the acceptance stage or the, what was the other? They approach the acceptance stage, right, early.
Right.
But the anxious preoccupied want to wallow there for a long while. So you can't really tell per se. It's not something that you have a formula to say, this is how it is, this is how it is. You have to first of all sit and understand your dynamics with your relationship and
before
all
you
that.
can commit.
Yes.
Okay. So do you advise people to fall in love at first sight?
There's nothing bad
Is
with it.
Is it possible?
It's possible, but you also know that there are processes. Just because you fall in love at first sight doesn't mean that is all. You have to do a lot of work
to keep it.
Yes, you see, because you have to start accepting, because what you are seeing in that moment might usually be a facade.
Right, right,
right? It's not all you see. So you have
right.
to first of all understand who this person is, right?
Okay.
And that takes a little bit of time, and not just, you have to notice what they are saying and not saying. What are
Right,
their patterns? You
right,
know, what happened to
right,
the last relationships? There are certain
right,
things you need to look. Okay, if
right.
this person is always talking about, oh, their ex was all the cause, they are not taking responsibility for their part, then you have to be conscious. But first
Right.
of all, there are a lot of patterns to look for. I know a lot of people don't have, you know, the knowledge of all that, but you have to look at their patterns. You have to know this kind of person, does his words match his
His
actions?
actions.
You know,
Wow.
is he a
Or
responsible
actions.
person? Am I, remember the three needs? When I'm with this person,
The
do I
wife
feel
is
heard? Do I feel seen? What do they talk about other people? You know, because sometimes people can be so pretentious with you, but with other people they can be mean.
okay.
If someone is mean to their ex and you are their present boyfriend or girlfriend, which means whenever you get to that office, you definitely receive
Okay.
those treatments. You know, and if someone is not taking responsibility in their part they played in all that relationship, or it's only people's faults, everyone is the issue, not them, you have to ask yourself, do you want to be with someone that's not being responsible?
So they're not taking accountability for their
Yes.
actions. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. I have a question for you. So, from a man's perspective, you're going into a relationship. What would you be looking out for?
From a man's perspective, like I said earlier, you know, finding your purpose and knowing who you are, first of all, is very paramount. Because with those foundations, you know what you really want. You can deceive yourself,
So,
and,
what do men want?
well, that's a very broad question.
What are they
Bec-
looking for?
because a lot of people don't know themselves. So it's rather me saying, okay, men want this and all that. It's like generalizing, whereby you don't really know all the statistics. But
Right.
what you can say is, you as a person, as a man, what do you really want? What are the core things do you really want? Does it align with your future? Does it align with your vision? Have you worked on your demons? You know, have you healed from, because if I'm being honest, a lot of us in Africa, we are suffering from one childhood trauma or the other, right? So have you healed from those childhood traumas? Or are you healing? Are you working towards it? You know, and it's with those facts right now, your vision, your plan, your and all that, and working on yourself, it becomes easy. Then it becomes less of, you know, the physical and all that. It becomes more of where you're going to,
Wow.
then before you
Wow.
think about the other parts. So I just don't want to generalize that, oh, men wants this
Wants
and all
this.
that, because
Okay.
a lot of us are unique in our ways.
Ways. Okay, for men. But I could simply tell you, most women want security.
Definitely.
Most women want financial security. They want to be protected. Like you said, they want to be loved. Um, but let's talk about things that, red flags. Red flags. Some people would like to know, how can I detect red flags? I'm already in this relationship. Oh, I think I found love. I think I'm with the right person. And things begin to pop up that they don't understand. They want to know, how can I tell if this are this is a red flags, or this are red flags?
Yes, that's very good. Going back to the foundations, loved for who you are, seen, heard, right? Now, if you're with someone and they are invalidating your feelings, you know, they don't take responsibility, that's definitely a sign of red flag.
Okay.
And if it doesn't want to hear you, or she doesn't want to hear you, they just want their opinion, you know, they are just in the black and white thinking phase, whereby it's either their way or
Oh,
no
no
way.
way.
You start wants to question, you know, because sometimes the word red flag is usually not like the final situations. You just want to know, why is it this for you? Now, it's if the person is a fixed kind of person, you know, then you know that you don't want to be there. Because a lot of people can be invalidating, but they are not doing it out of spite or out of any other thing. It's just the way they grew up, the way they tend to approach situations, right? So if that person is flexible enough to want to work on themselves, and on the relationship, because it's you and your partner and the relationship. So you are doing things for the relationship. If the person is able and willing to work on themselves and certain things, maybe not assuring you, or not reassuring you about their love for you, or not telling you they love you. There are some people that will say, "Well, I don't know how to tell you, I don't know how to say I love you." But we all know that our love languages are different, right?
Different,
so if they are not meeting those needs, right? For you, specifically for you,
right?
Because sometimes you're not general, then you have to be
right. Just like Benjamin rightly said, a love language, it's very important. And I think that's something that you and your partner should talk about. You should discuss on this. Tell your partner how you like to be loved. Like you rightly say, it's either your way or the I way. There's no in between. There's some people, they say something and that's what it is. They don't want to hear your opinion. They don't want to listen to you. They think you're not important. For me, I think that's a red flag. I would not want to go into a relationship like that. And also lies, this honesty. For me, I think it's a red flag as a woman. I don't know what you think about that. When someone tells you a lie the first time, believe it, they're always going to lie to you. It's not a one-time thing, and it's not always going to be a one-time thing. And then I do hear people, oh, he beats me, but he apologized about it and say it's a one-time thing. Honey, that's not a one-time thing. He's always going to continue. If you allow it, it's going to continue. So I think there are times people need to set boundaries.
Yes,
in relationship, healthy boundaries in a relationship. And that's something that you all should sit down and have conversations on, right? And I mean, for example, telling your spouse, okay, or your partner, you can't go through my phones. It's something both parties need to sit down and talk about. And there should be some kind of transparency in your relationship, because when there's no relationship, now they don't feel what you said, they don't feel safe. People want to feel safe. People want to ensure that they're in a safe relationship. However, there's still some people who are used to toxicity, like you say, as a result of childhood trauma.
Yes, they are used to that. They grew up in a house with chaos and a lot of verbal abuse and all that.
Right.
So it is becoming a norm for them.
Right, that if they don't have partners who do these things to them,
because it needs to confirm. There's a bias, there's a confirmation bias. So subconsciously they seek people like that. They can tell you, oh, I don't want a guy that is aggressive. I don't want a guy that shouts at me. I don't want a guy that all that. But if you look at their patterns, those are the kind of people they rather be with.
Right.
Than the ones that will, talk to them very well.
Because I read a situation on somewhere where the lady said, oh, my husband is good. He takes care of the family. He takes care of me and the children. I think he's the best father. He doesn't go out. However, he's too peaceful. He's boring. And I'm thinking about leaving the relationship. I'm like, huh, girl? You have a good man and you're trying to run out of such a relationship. How can you try to leave a relationship because you think it's boring? All he does is watch movie. So what would you recommend? What would you suggest?
Yeah, for people like that, or people that resonate with that, it goes back to their childhood. They have to resolve a lot of childhood issues with them because they have subconsciously learned a lot of unheard things, unheard beliefs about the way a relationship should be. So probably someone like that grew up in a house whereby the father or one of the parents was aggressive. So they constantly have seen that, and they want that. So their norm thrives in chaos, having that chaotic environment. But being in a relationship where the person is peaceful, he wants to roll. They just that, oh no, something is wrong.
No, he has to fight. He has to fight with me.
He has to fight with me. There has to be tension.
Right.
Because they have seen that as emotions are flying. They see that as love. He has to fight. That's when I know he loves me.
That's what they consider love.
Whereas they have to unlearn that. Which means working through their childhood traumas and all that.
Wow. Benjamin, I am glad I have you here with me. to talk about this important topic that people have questions about. And I'm telling you, you have to be intentional. So I think for me, the first step is for you to be intentional. You have to ask yourself certain questions. Like he says, what are your core values? What do you want out of your life? Are you just looking at playing games, or do you see a long-term thing? And by the time you sit down and ask yourself those questions, believe me, you'll be able to find out if this person is right for you. And ensure he's also intentional about you. If you as a woman, you're having to chase this guy, he's not the right person for you, because a man will naturally gravitate towards who he loves and cares about. So sisters, I'm speaking to you all. Ensure that, and I'm speaking to your brothers too, don't get me wrong. Make sure you're intentional, make sure she's intentional, and both of you on the same page. And not all red flags are bad. Some of these things can be worked on.
Yes.
It's something that you have to communicate on. That's why healthy, effective communication is very important. On today's episode, we would like to say thank you for joining us today. And we'd like to thank Benjamin, our coach. And we hope to see you next time. Until then, you have yourself a wonderful day.